The hook 800 words he thought today would be simple. He thought it would be just another day, another deal. A man walks into a dusty spaceport searching for a ship. The kind of ship no one would notice. Old, forgotten, cheap. That was all he wanted, or at least that was what he believed. The air in the port was heavy with oil and smoke. Engines coughed. Traders shouted. Everyone seemed in a hurry to leave, yet no one ever truly left. He moved quietly, a tall figure with tired eyes. He had spent years working jobs that gave him nothing but scars and empty pockets. Now he wanted freedom. A ship of his own at the far corner of the port, half hidden under broken lights. He saw it. An old freighter. Rust on the outside, patched. Engines, but still holding the shape of something strong. Not beautiful, not fast, but maybe enough to carry him away. The seller was already waiting. A thin man, pale, with shaking hands. His voice was dry when he spoke. "Take it," the seller said quickly, almost pushing the papers forward. "Cheap. No questions, just take it." The buyer raised his eyebrows. Ships were never sold this way. There was always talk, always bargaining, always some story about how reliable it was. But here, nothing. Just silence and fear. He narrowed his eyes. "What's wrong with it?" The seller's lips trembled. His eyes darted left and right, as if someone was watching. "Nothing. Just old. Just needs a new owner. You want it or not?" The man studied the seller. The hands, the eyes, the sweat. Something was wrong. But the price was too low. Almost a gift. He told himself, maybe it was just luck. Maybe the seller was desperate, so he signed. The moment the deal was done, the seller turned and walked away fast. Not even a handshake. Not even a goodbye. As if he was glad to be rid of it. The man stepped inside his new ship. It was dark. Dust floated in the air like ghosts. The walls carried old scratches, long and deep, like something had fought to get out. He touched the marks. They were rough under his fingers. His eyes narrowed. Inside. The smell was different stale air, mixed with something else. Something faint, almost like sweat, or fear. He shook his head. "Just an old ship," he muttered. "Just needs work." He walked through the corridors, testing doors, checking panels. The engines groaned when he powered them on, but they responded. The lights flickered weakly, then settled into a dull glow. The ship was alive. Barely as he moved deeper inside, he thought he heard something. A soft sound, like breathing. He froze. Silence. He waited, listening. Only the hum of the engines filled the air. He told himself it was nothing. Just the metal cooling, just the ship waking after years of sleep. Still, he felt uneasy. His heart beat faster. He checked every room, every corner, trying to prove to himself there was nothing there. But then he reached the cargo bay. The door creaked open. The bay was almost empty, just a few crates, broken tools and shadows stretching across. The floor? He stepped inside, boots echoing, and then it came. A sound, soft, fragile. A cry. He froze. His chest tightened. It was not the ship. It was not metal. It was not an engine. It was a voice, small, weak. Like the cry of a child, he turned sharply, scanning the shadows. His eyes searched the dark corners, the spaces between the crates. For a moment, he saw nothing. Only darkness staring back at him. Then he heard it again, louder this time. A whimper. He moved closer, his hands tightening into fists. "Who's there?" His voice echoed, sharp and heavy. Silence. He stepped further. His boots thudded against the metal floor. Every step made the sound grow louder in his own head. Another cry, this time followed by a whisper. Not words he understood. A language strange, broken, almost musical. His blood turned cold. Someone was here. He stopped in front of a crate, half open, covered with a tarp. The sound came from inside. Slowly, he reached forward, pulling the cover away, and in that moment, his world changed. Eyes stared back at him. Bright, unfamiliar, not human, to figures. Hidden in the shadows of the crate, one tall, fragile, with thin arms wrapped protectively around something small. And the small one, the child looked at him with wide eyes filled with fear. They were not from Earth. They were not human at all. The man staggered back. His breath caught in his throat. He thought he had just bought a ship. But now he had discovered something far greater, something that would change his life, and maybe the future of everyone. The discovery, 800 words he could not move. His eyes were locked on them, the strange shapes in the crate. A mother holding her child. Skin pale, almost glowing, with lines that shimmered like silver under the weak light. Their eyes were too bright, too deep, as if they carried the reflection of stars. The child made a small sound. A whimper that echoed through the empty cargo bay. The mother's arms tightened around it, pulling the little one close. Her gaze was sharp, protective, full of warning. She was afraid, and ready to fight if needed. He took one step back, his hand reaching slowly for the small blaster on his belt, but he did not raise it. Something in those eyes stopped him. They were not the eyes of killers. They were the eyes of survivors. For a long moment, no one spoke. The air between them felt heavy, like a wire pulled tight, ready to snap. Finally, the man broke the silence. His voice was low, careful. "Who are you?" The mother did not answer. She only pressed her child closer, whispering something in a language he could not understand. The words flowed softly, almost like a song, calming the frightened child. The child's eyes met his, wide, curious, but still afraid. A tear slid down its cheek, glowing faintly in the light. The man's chest tightened. That small sound, the child's quiet cry, felt like a knife twisting in his heart. Memories he had buried long ago tried to return. The face of his own little sister, long gone. The war that had taken her. The helplessness of standing by and losing everything. He shook his head, trying to focus. This was not his past. This was now. This was something new, something dangerous. He raised his voice again, a little stronger this time. "This ship is mine. Why are you here?" The mother's lips trembled. Her voice finally came soft, broken, carrying an accent heavy and strange. "Please, no, call them." His eyes narrowed. "Call guards, soldiers, patrol." Her words came slow, but clear enough. "If they find, we die." The man froze. Soldiers, patrol. Suddenly, the seller's strange behavior made sense. He had not sold just a ship. He had sold his fear. He wanted to be rid of this problem. He wanted to escape before the authorities arrived. The man's heartbeat quickened. He looked around the bay, as if the walls themselves carried ears. Already he imagined the scanners sweeping through the port, searching for stowaways, searching. For them, the mother must have seen the panic in his eyes. She lowered her head and spoke again, voice trembling with desperation. "Please, child sick, needs safe. Just hide. Only hide." The child coughed weakly. The sound was small but sharp, cutting into the silence like a blade. The man's throat went dry. He had seen sickness before. He had seen how quickly it could take the weak. But this was not just about health. If what she said was true, they were fugitives. And he, without meaning to, had just become part of their escape. He took another step back, running his hand over his face. He wanted to think, but his mind was racing. If he reported them, the soldiers would reward him. Maybe even pay enough credits to make his new life easier. But if he did, that he looked again at the child, then he would be delivering death, and for reasons he could not understand. That thought felt unbearable. Still, fear pulled at him. His voice cracked with tension. Why me? Why this ship? The mother looked up, her eyes glimmering like shattered glass. No choice. We run. We hide. Many ships search. Only this. Only here, please. Her hands shook as she reached out, not for him, but for the air between them. Not an attack. But not a demand, a plea. He stared at that trembling hand. His heart battled against his mind. He wanted to turn away, close the cargo bay, and pretend he had never seen them. But his legs would not move. The child reached out too, tiny fingers curling in the air. The movement was weak, yet it carried something powerful. Something that reminded him of innocence. Something that reminded him of everything he had lost. And then, faintly in his head, he thought he heard a whisper. Not with his ears, not with sound, but inside his mind. A single word. Help. His eyes widened. He looked at the child, who now stared at him with glowing eyes, brighter than before. Was it real, or just his imagination? The mother pulled the child close again, as if afraid he had seen too much. But the damage was done. Something had passed between them. Connection he could not explain. The man took a deep breath. His decision was not clear yet. One thing was certain. This was no ordinary discovery. This was no ordinary child. And already, outside the ship, the sound of engines roared. Patrol ships were moving. Scanners were sweeping. Time was running out. The man closed his eyes for a moment, trying to silence the storm inside him. Then he whispered, almost to himself, "What have I done?" The cargo bay lights flickered. The child's eyes glowed. And the universe, once small and predictable, suddenly felt much bigger and much more dangerous. The choice 800 words, the man stood frozen in the cargo bay. The mother's words echoed in his head. Please, no, call them. He turned, pacing back and forth. His boots hit the metal floor, each sound heavy with doubt. He had been through wars, through hunger, through years of surviving alone. He thought he had seen everything. But this was new. This was a choice he never wanted. Behind him, the child coughed again. The sound was weak, painful. He glanced back. The mother stroked the child's head, whispering in that strange language. It was soft, almost like a lullaby, sound that didn't belong in a dark, empty ship. A sound of care. He clenched his jaw. His mind screamed, "This is not my fight. This is not my problem." But his heart whispered something else. He remembered another sound from years ago, a memory he could never bury. His little sister crying in the ruins of their home. Smoke, fire, and soldiers marching past. He had been young, powerless, unable to save her. And when she was gone, the world became empty. His fists tightened. He shook his head, trying to push the memory away. But the child's cough pulled it back every time. He whispered under his breath, "I can't do this again." The mother looked at him, her glowing eyes full of fear, but also hope. She spoke slowly, fighting with his language. "You decide. You give us, we die. You hide us, you risk." Her honesty cut deeper than any threat could have. She was not promising safety. She was not offering reward. Only truth. The man turned toward the control panel on the wall. Coo? He could already hear the faint hum of scanners outside, sweeping the ships in the port. If he opened the channel now and reported, the patrol would arrive in minutes. They would thank him, reward him, maybe even give him protection. But he looked back at the child, small, fragile, eyes glowing with something he could not explain. And again, Faintly in his head, he heard it. Help. T grabbed the edge of the panel, breathing hard. His hand hovered over the button. His past and his future clashed in that single moment. The patrol's voice suddenly broke over the comms, cold and sharp. Freighter owner, prepare for inspection. Open your bay doors. His heart pounded. They were coming. If they stepped inside, they would find the mother and child, and then death. He closed his eyes. A storm raged inside him. Safety or risk? Self or others? Freedom or chains? And then he made his choice. He slammed his fist on the panel knot. To open the bay, but to seal it. The doors locked with a hiss. He rushed to the pilot's seat, his voice trembling but firm. Hold on. The mother clutched the child tightly as the engines roared to life. Outside, the patrol ships moved closer, warning lights flashing. Freighter, you are ordered to remain still. The comms shouted, do not attempt escape. But it was too late. He pulled the throttle, and the ship lifted from the ground. Shaking with the strain of old engines, alarms blared. Patrol ships turned to follow. The mother's voice called from behind. Why? Why help? He did not turn. His eyes stayed on the stars ahead, his grip steady on the controls. His answer came low, almost a whisper. Because I couldn't last time. The patrol opened fire, shots streaking past the hull. The ship shuddered, metal groaning. He pushed harder, weaving through the sky, every movement testing the dying engine stod inside. The child whimpered again. But this time, the sound was different. Strange. Powerful. The lights flickered. The ship's systems surged as if touched by something unseen. He glanced at the readings. The old engines suddenly burned brighter, faster, beyond their limits. It was impossible. He looked back at the child. The glow in its eyes pulsed stronger, and, for the first time, he realized the child was doing this. The mother's gaze met his, steady now. She spoke softly, her voice carrying both fear and pride. Odd only child. More important. That is why they hunt. His breath caught. More than survival, more than a refugee. This child carried something greater, a secret that could change everything. The patrol's voice cracked over the comms again. Last warning, stop or be destroyed. But he only pushed the ship harder, his jaw set. For the first time in years, he felt something burning inside him. Purpose. The mother held her child close. The child's glow filled the cabin, and once more the whisper came into his mind. Trust me. He gritted his teeth, weaving through the fire. Each second pulling them further away from the port, further into the unknown. His choice was made. No turning back now. The chase 800 words the freighter shook as it left the port. Old engines screamed. Metal rattled, alarms flashing red across the control panel. The man gripped the controls tight, sweat on his forehead. He knew this ship was never built for speed. It was meant for hauling cargo, not running from death. Behind him, the mother held her child close, whispering in that strange, soft language. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed fear. She knew what was coming. Outside, patrol ships closed in. Sleek, sharp, armed for war. Their lights cut through the black of space like hunting eyes. A cold voice broke through the comms. Freighter, powered down engines. You are carrying fugitives. Surrender or be destroyed. The man's heart pounded. His fingers hovered over the throttle. He had no chance in a fight. Not with this ship, not against them. And yet he pushed forward. The freighter lurched, engines burning harder than they should. The patrol ships gave chase instantly, lasers streaking past the hull. Sparks flew across the cockpit as one shot grazed the side. The ship groaned like a wounded beast. The mother gasped, shielding the child with her body. But the child's eyes glowed brighter, like tiny suns, filling the cabin with strange light. The man felt it again, an energy rushing through the ship. Systems that were dead moments ago flickered alive. Shields held longer than they should. Engines pushed faster than the readings allowed. He realized it once more. The child was saving them. "Hold on," he muttered, jerking the ship down toward a field of broken asteroids. The patrol followed, firing relentlessly. Chunks of rock exploded around them, debris crashing into the freighter's sides. The old ship rattled, alarms screaming louder. But somehow it stayed alive. The man's eyes darted across the controls, searching for an escape path. He had flown combat runs before, years ago, when survival meant quick thinking. Now those instincts returned. His ship was old, but the rocks were his ally. Patrol ships were fast, too fast. They would struggle in tight spaces. He dove deeper into the field. Jagged rocks spun in every direction, colliding, splitting. Each gap was a death trap, but he wove through them. Every move so close, it felt like the ship's skin brushed the stone. Behind him, one patrol ship clipped an asteroid and exploded in a burst of fire. The shock wave slammed into the freighter, shaking it violently. The mother cried out, holding the child tighter. The man gritted his teeth, forcing control back. "We're not done yet." The remaining patrol ships stayed close. Their pilots were trained, ruthless. They fired again, a volley of lasers striking the freighter's side. The shields flickered, failing. A warning flashed on his screen. "Hull breach detected." Cold air hissed through a crack somewhere below. The mother coughed, pulling the child tighter. Panic surged through the cabin. Then it happened. The child's glow flared brighter than ever, flooding the cockpit with light. The hull sealed itself, metal bending, repairing, as if the ship were alive. The man's eyes widened. He whispered to himself, "What are you?" The child looked back, its eyes shining like stars. And faintly, again, a whisper echoed in his head. "Keep going." His hands tightened on the controls. He obeyed. He pulled hard, sending the ship spinning through a narrow gap between two massive asteroids. The patrol ships tried to follow, but the gap was too small. One crashed, bursting into fragments. The other veered off, circling wide. For a moment, silence. The freighter broke free of the asteroid field, flying into the open black of space. Stars stretched endless ahead. The man exhaled shakily, his chest heavy. "We made it." But the victory was short. The last patrol ship emerged from the field behind them, guns blazing. One final missile launched, streaking straight toward the freighter. The man slammed every control, trying to dodge. Too slow. The missile locked on. The mother cried out, clutching the child. The glow brightened until it was blinding. And then, the impossible happened. The missile froze in space, just stopped. Engines burning, locked mid-flight, unable to move. Then, with a flash, it spun back around and exploded against the patrol ship that had fired it. The shockwave lit the darkness. The patrol ship broke apart, swallowed by fire. Silence fell. Only the hum of the freighter's engines remained. The man stared, speechless. His mind could not understand what his eyes had seen. He looked at the child, whose glow now dimmed, body slumping weakly against the mother's chest. The mother stroked its head, whispering softly, rocking it gently. The man's hands shook on the controls. He had seen weapons, machines, and miracles of war, but nothing like this. He turned slowly toward the mother. His voice was rough, filled with shock. "That child, it just destroyed a patrol ship." The mother met his gaze, her voice quiet but strong. "Yes, this is why they hunt us. This is why we run." He leaned back in his seat, the weight of her words sinking into him. The child was not only different, it was dangerous. dangerous enough that entire fleets might chase them. He looked ahead into the vast stretch of space, knowing more would come. The Empire would not stop. Not now. And for the first time, he realized something chilling. By choosing to save them, he had not only risked his life, he had stepped into a war he did not understand. Secrets revealed 800 words. The freighter drifted silently through space now. The chase was over, but the man knew peace would not last. His ship's panels were scorched, alarms still blinked red, and the engines coughed with every breath. Yet, somehow, they had survived. He sat in the pilot's chair, staring at the endless stars. His hands still trembled on the controls. The image of the missile freezing in space burned in his mind. No weapon, no machine he had ever known could do that. And it wasn't the ship, it was the child. Behind him, the cargo bay was quiet. Too quiet, he turned and walked back, his boots echoing in the hollow corridors. When he entered, he saw the mother sitting on the floor, holding the child in her arms. The glow that had once filled the room was gone. The child's eyes were half closed, its breathing weak. The man crouched down, his voice low. What happened to him? The mother stroked the child's hair, her face pale with worry. Too young. Too weak. Power takes much. The man frowned. Power? What kind of power is that? That wasn't. He shook his head, searching for words. That wasn't natural. The mother looked up at him, her glowing eyes sharp, almost cutting. Not natural to you. To us, it is gift. Curse, both. Her words sent a chill through him. He glanced at the child again, so small, so fragile, and yet capable of bending reality itself. He felt a knot form in his chest. He leaned closer. Voice tense. Why are the patrols after you? What do they want with the boy? The mother hesitated, her lips trembling. She looked away, whispering in her own language as if praying. Finally, she spoke, her voice heavy with sorrow. Empire fears him. Fears what he will be. They kill all like him. No mercy. The man's breath caught. All like him. She nodded slowly. Long ago, my people were many. We lived in peace. We had children born with light. Children who could touch ships, stars, mines. But Empire came. They called us threat. They hunted us, burned our worlds, took every child. None lived. Her voice cracked. She held the child closer, pressing her forehead against its hair. None. Except him. The man felt his stomach turn. The empire he once served, the empire that ruled the galaxy with an iron hand, he had seen its cruelty, but never like this. The thought of soldiers hunting children, of entire people erased, twisted his insides. He stood, pacing across the cargo bay. His voice came rough, heavy. So he's the last. That's why they're so desperate. Yes, the mother's voice was barely a whisper. They will chase forever, until he is gone. Or until. She stopped, her words fading. The man turned sharply. Until what? Her eyes met his. In them, he saw fire, grief, and something else, hope. Until he becomes what they fear. The words hung in the air, heavy, unshakable. The man tried to laugh, but it came out hollow. And what's that? A weapon. The mother shook her head slowly. No. Not weapon. More leader voice. Light. She touched the child's chest gently. One day, he could change everything. Not just for my people, for yours too. The man's throat tightened. He wanted to deny it, to push away the weight of her words. But deep inside, he knew she was not lying. He had felt it himself, the whisper in his mind, the surge in the engines, the impossible turn of the missile. This child was something greater than both of them. He rubbed his face, frustration boiling. "You don't understand. The Empire doesn't forgive. They find us, they won't just kill you. They'll kill me too. Burn this ship to ash." The mother's eyes softened. She looked at him, not with anger, but with sadness. "You already chose. You already saved us. Now you carry this." Her words cut deeper than any blade. He turned away, staring at the walls, at the old scratches and scars of the freighter. This ship had once been just a chance at freedom. It was a cage holding secrets the galaxy would kill for. The child stirred weakly in her arms. Its eyes fluttered open, glowing faintly. The man met that gaze, and again he felt it, the whisper inside his head. "Don't leave us." His breath caught. The voice was gentle, pleading. Not just words, but feelings, flowing straight into his heart. Fear, loneliness, trust. He stumbled back, shaking his head. I don't know if I can do this." The mother rocked the child slowly, humming softly. Then she looked up, her voice steady. "You must decide again. Hide us, or give us. Both paths are death. Only one has hope." The man's jaw clenched. He had thought his choice was made back at the port, but now he realized it was only the beginning. Saving them once was not enough. Protecting them forever, that was the real fight. And outside, somewhere beyond the stars, the Empire was already searching. The mother's final words echoed in the silence. "He is last of us. But not end. If he lives, if he grows. Then, maybe, one day, no child will hide again." The man stared at the child, glowing softly in her arms. For the first time in years, he felt something he thought was lost hope, and it terrified him more than anything. The sacrifice, 800 words. The warning sirens screamed through the freighter. Red lights painted the cabin in flashes of danger. The man's hands gripped the controls, his knuckles white. "They've found us," he muttered. Outside, the black of space was no longer silent. Shadows moved. Warships. 3 of them. Larger, stronger, faster. The Empire had sent more. This time, no patrols, no scouts. Hunters. The mother clutched her child close, her voice trembling. "They will not stop, not until..." She could not finish. Her eyes closed, tears shining in the faint glow of her son's skin. The man's heart pounded. He had known this was coming. From the moment he chose to hide them, from the moment he closed the cargo bay doors, he had stepped onto a road with only one end. But still, a part of him had hoped maybe they could run forever. Maybe they could disappear. Now he knew the truth. The Empire would chase them until the stars themselves burned out. The Cums hissed alive. A cold, commanding voice filled the cockpit. "Unknown freighter. You are carrying fugitives. Surrender the mother and child immediately. Do this, and you may live. Refuse, and you will be destroyed." The man stared at the flashing screen. His throat felt dry. His mind screamed at him to give in, to hand them over, to save his own life. But behind him, he heard the child's weak breathing. He looked back, and their eyes met. Glowing eyes filled with fear and trust. That trust broke him. He turned back to the Cums, his jaw tight. "If you want them," he said, his voice low and steady, "you'll have to go through me." A pause. Then the Empire's answer came sharp and final. "So be it." The warships moved, their weapons glowing. The freighter shook violently as the first blasts struck. Sparks rained from the ceiling, panels shattered, alarms wailed. The ship was too old, too weak. It wouldn't last minutes against them. The man fought with the controls, swerving, diving, but every move was slower, every turn heavier. The warships circled like predators around dying prey. The mother cried out as the child coughed, the glow fading from his eyes. His strength was almost gone. The man's chest ached. He knew what had to be done. He knew it from the first blast. But admitting it hurt more than any wound. He turned to the mother, his voice shaking. "There's only one way. I can't fight them. But I can buy you time." Her eyes widened. "No, you will die." He gave a sad, broken smile. "I was already dead before I met you, just drifting. This gives me something worth dying." 4. She shook her head violently, tears streaming down her face. There must be another way. The ship shuddered again. Another blast tore through the hull. Warning lights flashed. Critical damage. "No," he said softly. This is that way." He pulled up a panel on the console, hands moving quickly. He rerouted power, diverting every bit of energy into one last burst: engines, shields, everything. The ship would not survive it, but it could make one final move. He turned back to her. His voice was steady now. "There's an escape pod. Take it. Go to the outer rim. There are colonies there. Hide among them. You'll be safe." For a while, her lips trembled. "You." He looked back at the stars, at the warships closing in. "I'll hold them off." The mother clutched his arm, desperate. But the child stirred in her arms, glowing faintly again. Their eyes met his, and once more he felt it, the whisper. In his mind, "Thank you." His chest tightened. He nodded, forcing himself not to break. He guided her to the escape pod, sealing them inside. The mother's face was pressed against the glass, tears falling as she whispered something in her own language, a prayer, or maybe a goodbye. The child reached out one last time, tiny fingers pressing against the glass. Glowing softly, the man raised his hand, pressing it against theirs through the barrier. He could not speak. His throat was too tight, but his eyes said it all. Then, the pod launched, streaking away into the darkness. The warships noticed instantly. They turned, weapons ready. But the man roared, pulling the freighter around, slamming the throttle. "Over here," he shouted, though no one could hear him. "I'm your fight." The freighter surged forward, engines burning hotter than they ever had. The child's last touch still lingered in its systems, giving it strength beyond reason. The man drove straight toward the enemy, weaving through their fire, charging head-on. The coms lit again. "You cannot win. You are only one man." He laughed, bitter but fierce. "One man is enough." He pushed the final command, overloading the reactor. The freighter glowed brighter, until it was like a star. The warship scrambled, weapons firing wildly, and then light. The freighter exploded in a blinding burst, tearing through the void. The shockwave ripped into the warships, breaking them apart, scattering their remains across the stars. Silence followed. Far away, in the small escape pod, drifting into the black, the mother and child felt the tremor of the explosion. The child pressed close to her, eyes glowing faintly, and for a moment, a single tear rolled down her face. She whispered softly, "He gave us more than time. He gave us hope." And in the endless night, hope burned brighter than fire. The resolution. 800 words. The escape pod drifted in silence. No engines. No weapons. Just a small capsule carrying a mother and her child through the endless dark. The mother held the child close, rocking gently, whispering songs in her broken language. Her voice was soft but heavy with sorrow. She could still see it, the explosion, the bright flash that had swallowed the man's freighter. She closed her eyes, and for a moment she let herself cry. He had given his life for them. A stranger. A man who had nothing left, yet gave everything. The child stirred weakly in her arms. His glow was faint now, but steady. His small hand reached up, touching her cheek. She kissed it gently, whispering, "We are safe." Because of him. But even as she said the words, she knew safety was only an illusion. The empire would not stop. Not after losing ships. Not after losing face. They would come again, stronger, angrier. The pod drifted for hours, maybe days. The mother had lost track of time. Stars passed like rivers of light. Her body was tired, but her mind would not rest. She thought of her people, of the burned villages, of the children taken. She thought of the man, his sad eyes, his broken smile, his final words. Then, at last, the pod's sensors beeped. A signal. She pressed the controls, her heart racing. A nearby colony station appeared on the screen, small, hidden on the edge of the outer rim. Not part of the empire, not powerful, but alive. She whispered in relief, hope. The pod drifted closer until docking clamps caught it. The hatch opened, and faces appeared, human faces, worn and rough, but kind. Colonists, traders, survivors, they stared in shock at the mother's pale skin, at the child glowing faintly in her arms. But no one moved to harm them. One woman stepped forward, her eyes soft. "You look like you've been through hell," she said quietly. "Come inside." The mother nodded gratefully, stepping onto the station floor. The child clung to her, his eyes wide at the new world around him. For the first time in days, she felt air that was warm, safe, not filled with smoke and fire. They gave her food, water, a small room. The mother bowed her head, whispering thanks. The child ate weakly, then curled into her arms, falling asleep. That night, as the colony slept, she sat by the window of her room, staring at the stars. Her mind would not let her rest. She thought of the man again, his choice, his sacrifice. She had not even asked his name, and yet he had become part of her forever. Her thoughts broke when the child stirred, his small glowing eyes opening. He looked up at her, then out the window. For a moment, silence. Then, softly, his voice whispered not aloud, but inside her mind. "He is not gone." The mother froze, her breath caught. "What do you mean?" She whispered aloud. The child pressed his hand to her chest, his glow pulsing. "He is with us, always. We will meet again." Tears filled her eyes. She pulled him close, whispering, "Rest, my light, rest." But her heart burned with questions. The child's gift was powerful, yes, but could it reach beyond death? Or was this simply a child's dream? She did not know morning came, and with it, whispers among the colonists. The empire's reach was growing. Scouts had been seen near the rim. Fear spread quickly. But when they looked at her and the child, some saw not fear, some saw hope. She heard them whisper, "Maybe he is special. Maybe he can stand against them one day." The mother said nothing. She kept the child close, protecting him with every breath. But inside, she wondered the same one evening as she walked through the colony. The child reached out again, his small hand pointing at the sky. His eyes glowed brighter than before. "War is coming," he whispered into her mind. "But we are not alone." The mother shivered. She looked into the stars, endless and cold, and felt the truth. The empire would return. The galaxy would burn again. But her son would not hide forever. And when the time came, he would not be alone. Because somewhere out there, in ways she could not explain, the spirit of the man who had saved them still burned like a light, waiting to rise again. The child closed his eyes, his glow dimming as he fell asleep in her arms. The mother kissed his forehead, holding him close. She whispered softly, so only he could hear, "Then we will be ready." And, in the silence of the stars, hope lived on.